The phone rang at 3 a.m., a shrill scream in the silence of Katie Evans' crumbling apartment. She jolted awake, heart pounding, expecting the hospital again. Another ghost from the night her husband died. But the voice on the line wasn't a nurse. "You don't know me," it rasped low and deliberate, "but I saw you tonight. And I'm coming back." The call cut dead, leaving her clutching Lily's rabbit, staring at the locked door. By morning, she'd face a stranger at Carter's kitchen who knew her secrets and held her future in their hands. The diner's neon sign flickered open, but the man slumped in the booth didn't move. Blood streaked the cracked vinyl seat, and the air stank of burnt coffee and regret. Katie Evans, 25 and drowning in debt, stood frozen behind the counter, her hands trembling as she clutched a rag. 2 years later, she'd replay that night, her husband Mark's last, every time she tied her apron at Carter's kitchen, wondering if kindness could have saved him. Tonight, though, she'd meet a stranger in faded sneakers who'd turn her world upside down, and she'd never see it coming. That stranger was Jessica Carter, the woman who'd built Carter's kitchen from a greasy Tulsa diner into a nationwide empire. 30 years ago, she'd been a single mom scraping by with a toddler and a dream. Now at 52, she stood in her condo, staring at an ex-post on her phone. "Carter's kitchen treated me like trash because I didn't wear a suit. Saved for weeks. Never again." Her jaw tightened. This wasn't her vision. Her restaurants were meant to welcome everyone, not just the wealthy. Complaints like this had piled up. Snobby staff, cold service, a vibe that screamed, "You don't belong," to anyone without a fat wallet. Jessica, who'd once been turned away from fancy places with Ethan crying in her arms, felt the sting personally. She had to know the truth. She ditched her blazer for a ratty hoodie, swapped heels for sneakers with a hole in the toe, and left her credit cards behind, tucking a crumpled $5 bill into her pocket, the kind of cash she'd once stretched to feed her son for a week. In the mirror, she saw the ghost of her old self, broke, invisible, determined. The bus to her flagship Tulsa location rattled through the dusk, and as she stepped off, the Rockies glowed red against the sky. She pushed open the doors of Carter's kitchen, not as its millionaire owner, but as a nobody with a growling stomach and a mission. Inside, the place shimmered. Edison bulbs cast a golden haze over reclaimed wood tables, and the air hummed with sage butter, cornbread, and the clink of wine glasses. Servers in crisp aprons glided past, balancing plates of pecan-crusted salmon and sweet tea. Jessica lingered by the hostess stand, watching. A couple in cashmere coats got smiles and a table in seconds. A man with a Rolex earned a handshake. Then it was her turn. The hostess, Lauren Brooks, barely looked up. Her eyes flicked over Jessica's frayed clothes, and her lips pursed. "Can I help you?" she asked, voice flat. "Just looking for a meal," Jessica said, keeping her tone soft, timid, like the young mom she'd been. Lauren sighed, tapping her tablet. "We're full. Maybe an hour wait. Maybe more." Jessica's gut twisted. She'd built this place with walk-in tables, 2 always free, her rule. She could have called it out, but she bit her tongue. Before she could push, a man stepped up, arms crossed. His name tag read manager, Ryan Mitchell. "I'll handle this, Lauren," he said, his smile tight as he sized Jessica up. "Ma'am, there's a diner 2 blocks over. Quicker, cheaper, better fit." The words landed like a punch, echoes of the rejections she'd faced decades ago. "I don't mind waiting," she said, holding his gaze. Ryan's smile vanished. "Look, we've got a certain clientele here. The diner's more your speed. Trust me." A new voice broke in, soft but firm. "I've got her." Jessica turned. A young woman, mid-20s, with curly hair in a messy braid and tired hazel eyes, stood there, menu in hand. Her uniform was pristine, but her hands were rough, nails chipped from hard work. Katie Evans, her name tag read. "There's a spot by the kitchen," she said, ignoring Ryan's scowl. "Come on." She led Jessica through the dining room, her steps quick but steady, like she was used to dodging storms. Jessica settled at a small table near the kitchen doors, the clatter of pots and laughter from wealthier tables washing over her. She felt the weight of being unseen. Again, servers breezed past, their eyes skimming her with disinterest or a faint sneer. But Katie set down a menu with a shy smile. "What can I get you to drink?" Jessica glanced at the prices, $12 cocktails, $8 beers. Her $5 felt like a joke. "Just water," she murmured. "Of course," Katie said, returning with a glass, condensation dripping like tears. "Take your time. Let me know if you need anything." Katie's warmth was a lifeline. Jessica watched her weave through the room, refilling glasses for a loud table of suits, then darting back to check on her. Later, Katie leaned in, voice low. "I don't mean to overstep, but I can bring you something small. On me." Jessica's throat tightened. She could have bought the building, but she let herself feel the gesture's depth. "You don't have to." "I want to," Katie said, her eyes flickering with something raw, grief, maybe, or defiance. She returned with a cup of chicken and dumpling soup and a warm biscuit, plated with care despite her trembling hands. "It's not much, but it's good," she added, almost shy. The soup was velvet, the biscuit flaky, perfect, like Jessica had dreamed when she'd crafted the menu decades ago. But it wasn't the food that hit her. It was Katie, likely scraping by herself, offering what little she had. Jessica ate slowly, savoring the kindness more than the meal. Then a sharp voice cut through. "Katie now." Ryan loomed by the kitchen, his face a storm cloud. Katie straightened, whispering, "Be right back," before facing him. Jessica caught fragments, wasting time barely tipping every guest matters. Ryan's glare darted to her table, his lips curling, before he stalked off. Katie returned, masking her strain with a smile. "Need anything else?" Jessica studied her. This woman, fighting unseen battles, had no idea who she was serving. But Jessica knew her now, knew her heart. She'd seen it before, in herself, years ago. Across town, Katie's life was a tightrope. 2 years earlier, she'd been a wife with dreams, Mark by her side, Lily giggling in their tiny yard. Then the crash, a drunk driver, a mangled car, and Mark gone at 26. Katie had stumbled through the aftermath, selling his truck to pay the hospital bills, moving into a crumbling apartment with peeling walls and a leaky sink. Lily, now 5, slept with a stuffed rabbit Mark had given her. Waking from nightmares Katie couldn't chase away. "Where's Daddy?" she'd sob, and Katie would hold her, whispering, "He's watching us, baby," though she barely believed it herself. She worked doubles at Carter's kitchen, her only lifeline. The pay was decent, but tips were hit or miss, and rent ate most of it. Daycare for Lily came from Mrs. Hargrove, a gruff widow next door who charged $20 a day. Money Katie scraped from couch cushions some weeks. Her hands ached from scrubbing dishes, her back screamed from standing. But she pushed on. Lily needed shoes, medicine, a future. Every night, Katie kissed her daughter's forehead, promising, "Mommy's gonna make it better," even as she doubted she could. Back at Carter's kitchen, Jessica finished her soup, leaving the $5 as a tip, more than Katie expected, less than she deserved. She slipped out into the night, the Rockies swallowing the sun, her mind racing. She'd seen the rot in her empire, Ryan's elitism, Lauren's indifference, but also a spark of hope in Katie. Tomorrow, she'd return, and everything would change. The next evening, Carter's kitchen buzzed until 6 p.m., when Jessica strode in. Gone were the hoodie and sneakers. She wore a sleek blazer, boots clicking on the hardwood, her graying hair swept back like a crown. Lauren straightened, voice syrupy. "Welcome, ma'am." "Right this way." Jessica ignored her, eyes locking on Katie, who was refilling a pitcher mid-shift. Recognition hit Katie like a wave. Her face paled, hands shaking. Whispers rippled through the staff as Jessica crossed the room, stopping before Ryan, who emerged from his office with a forced grin. "Ms. Carter," he stammered, "what a surprise." "Do I look like I need a fanfare?" Jessica cut in, voice sharp as a blade. "Last night, I was nothing here. How many of you knew me?" Silence. Lauren fidgeted. A server who'd smirked at Jessica's clothes stared at the floor. "I went undercover," Jessica said, her tone rising, "because I'd heard my restaurants were shaming people like I was, broke and hungry. I felt it myself. Ignored, dismissed. But one of you saw me." She turned to Katie, whose breath hitched. "You gave me respect when it could have cost you everything." Katie blinked, tears welling. Jessica pulled a card from her pocket and handed it to her. General manager, effective immediately. The room went still. I don't understand, Katie choked out, voice trembling. You've got the soul this place lost, Jessica said, softer now. You belong running it. Ryan sputtered, Ms. Carter, she's just a waitress. You're fired, Ryan, Jessica snapped, eyes blazing. Leadership isn't gatekeeping, it's building people up. You failed. Turning to the staff, she added, this changes now. Every guest gets dignity, suit or sneakers, rich or broke. No exceptions. This is Carter's Kitchen, not some country club. Katie clutched the card, sobs breaking free. Why me? I'm nobody. Jessica stepped closer, voice cracking. You're me, 30 years ago, fighting for your kid, giving when you've got nothing left. I saw my son in every tired mom I served. Now I see you. As Jessica left, the dining room buzzed anew, but she felt lighter. Carter's Kitchen wasn't just her legacy. It was her fight, reborn through Katie's quiet strength. That night, Katie went home, hugging Lily tight. Mommy's got a new job, baby, she whispered, tears mixing with hope. We're gonna be okay. Days later, Jessica sat in her condo, scrolling X. A post caught her eye. Ate at Carter's Kitchen last night, jeans and all. Best service ever. Felt like home. She smiled. Real change, she knew, starts when no one's watching, and grows when someone cares enough to see.